Hi, welcome to another Fajardo Friday Life lesson. I think this one's going to be a little odd, maybe interesting. One of the things that I think is important for people, especially young people, is that when they grow up, there are going to be a lot of times in your life when you say you're going to do things and you're committing to things, and then you realize that either you overcommitted yourself or you didn't really commit at all. Um, I feel like maybe it's worth talking a little bit about commitment. Now, the example that I'm going to use is something that I, try to look at it as, like everybody, when you make commitments to things and you truly try to make commitments to change your life, it's difficult to provide any example that works for everybody. So just go with it and see how it can apply. The first example, really quick example, has to do with when I was younger. And I've talked about me being a teacher. I've talked about how I always knew I was going to be a teacher. And there was a part of me that was so stubborn. Even when people said that I was going to be bad at it, I was so stubborn. But I always knew. To my core, I knew. And there's that commitment. Now, I'm going to use that as part of this kind of example. So back in 2017, I had a very rude awakening about myself. And I decided to do a blog that talked about what I was going through in terms of weight loss. And I'm going to read through that and give you some understanding about commitment from that, especially as it applies to me today, which is the scary part. Okay, so here is what I wrote back in October 2017. Many people say I look fine. The problem is I don't feel fine, and I don't look the way I used to. It's funny though, because the way I used to look made me feel just as horrible as I do now. When I look back on it, I now wish that I was who I was 10 years ago. Remember 2017, so that would be like 2007. Today, I am 173 pounds. 10 years ago, I was 138 pounds. That may not seem like a big deal, but over the last few years, I've gained 10 pounds each year. I've come to the realization that in 3 years, I will be over 200 pounds if I keep going the way that I'm going. And that's really, I think, where commitment starts, is where you have this shocking thing, this shocking life event that just makes you take a real big introspection into your life. And that's where commitment. Okay, so I understand, but can I really make a commitment? A lot of people have tried, things like losing weight, and they've tried to do all of this stuff, and they just kind of fall off. Then you have to ask yourself about, was there really a commitment there? So the next thing I said was, like anyone else faced with trying to lose weight, I have tried to start so many different kinds of exercises and activities and diets. They never worked. Today I asked myself why that was the case. My answer is that I never actually committed to it. I said the words, I made plans, I tried it for a few weeks, and sometimes I tried very hard, but I know I wasn't really committed. I let excuses take me away. I let depression convince me to take days off. I blamed my work, my house, my to-dos, and even time itself. In October of 2017, I made the commitment to lose weight, and I did things that I needed to do. And I know that I was committed. For a fact, I know that I was committed, because by May of 2018, I had gotten down to 140 pounds. Now you may think, oh my goodness, that might be a lot. No, actually it really isn't. I'll explain that in a second. But I was 2 points away from my goal. And I did well for the next year after that. I was doing really well. And then around 2019 and 20, things just went terribly. Thank COVID and a lot of other stuff too. And I really went, into a bad place, and I couldn't keep doing the things that I was doing. It was so hard. And I believe commitments get tested. They always get tested. But that feeling never left me. And so hopefully, if you're really committed to something, then because that feeling never actually leaves you, even if things go wrong. So the next thing that I said was, whatever it is I do, there is one thing that I will always have to do constantly. That is to make a commitment and remake a commitment. Funny where I'm at right now, but exactly how do you make a commitment? Good question. And my answer may not work for you, but I will say it nonetheless. My answer is to pay attention to other times when you committed to something wholeheartedly and you actually did what you said you were going to do. How did you feel, and what did you do, and how did you make yourself keep going? How did you handle yourself when you struggled and wanted to give up? What did you tell yourself? I know that I strayed, but the truth is I never lost that desire and that commitment. And even when I did stray, there were habits that I had created to try to help me keep going. And I know what that feeling is. I know I was committed, and I am back to a point where I can continue on that journey. Sometimes commitments take a while, and if you stray a little, that doesn't mean you failed. If you are truly committed, you just have to get back on those tracks again. Sometimes people, when they feel like they've gone off, then that automatically means failure, and oh, that's it. Keep going, just keep going. So, but what do? How do you know when you've committed, or how do you get yourself to a point of truly being committed? So I went out by myself and really gave it a good meditation. I cried out all my fears and I yelled out all my frustrations and anger. I sat there for a few hours until I absolutely knew, I convinced myself that what I was going to need to do, whatever I needed to do, it was going to be okay. And you will know you have truly committed because you've taken on a stubborn personality, just like anything else you believe in wholeheartedly. But I truly believe that you have to work through all of your thoughts and feelings of the past, doubt, fear, anger, and questions. After all of it is let out, I was able to get myself to commit to feeling positive. And I had to go through that all over again just a couple of weeks ago, because I looked at the weight scale and I'm back to 173 pounds. Took me all of this time to get back to it, but I'm there. And now I'm realizing yet again that in 3 years, I could be back up to, I could hit 200 pounds. And I don't want that for myself. So, interestingly, I said this on day 1 back in 2017, and I'm back at day 1 again. And here's what I wrote then to tell myself today. So here I am sitting on day 1. I was told not to come up with huge plans for trying to exercise and diet. I was told to start slowly, try to look at things reasonably. So after pondering over it, I wondered if I could lose just 1 pound a week. If I try for 1 pound a week in a year, that's 52 pounds. Is 1 pound a week reasonable? That is what the whole experiment was all about. Now, I really am not sure that each individual week I will lose 1 pound. Some weeks I may lose 2, and some weeks I may be none. But I am still aiming for that idea of it. It certainly seems a lot more attainable than saying I'm going to lose 10 or 20 pounds in a few months. I also feel like if I have a setback, it won't make me feel like quitting so easily. I'm going to tell you that as part of that commitment, because I truly felt committed, I really was able to lose 1 pound a week, if not more. And I was really ecstatic about the idea. And 1 pound is like, I was like, oh, I can do 1 pound. And I did it this week. All right, let's try for next week. It's kind of like what I said in one of my other videos about when I was running, when I started running again, like, I think I can make it to the end of this block. I think I can make it halfway, down the next block. Little steps, baby steps, really worked as part of that commitment, and looking at it from a micro perspective rather than trying to look at it whole. It's not as overwhelming, it's not as scary. You feel like you can manage it a little bit better, and I think when you have commitments like that, especially big goal and commitments, trying to do that is going to help you stick with your commitment better. So here I am back on day 1, and I'm going to do this all over again, and I feel it. I can feel, like, there were times where I tried to start again and I tried to start again over the years, but I knew I could feel it even then, like, no, I'm not there yet. I want to, but I'm not there. I can't really put myself into it. I know I can do it now, and I'm going to. Thanks for listening.